What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to play around with a PVE Werewolf setup utilizing light attacks as our main source of damage. While we're transformed, we are locked to 1 bar, so this would fall under the 1 bar builds category as far as I'm concerned. And to be sure, we'll keep ourselves just using 1 bar outside of Werewolf form as well. I'm doing this on a Dragonknight, but you could use any class you want, with the only difference being some of the passives and skills you'll have access to on your normal non-werewolf bar. So we'll want to play as a stamina race, so a red guard, an orc, a dark elf, Khajiit, maybe an imperial or even a Nord would work fine here if you want to be slightly tankier. We'll want to place all of our attribute points into stamina and take the thief as our Mundus boon this time around. And then for food we can use Artaeum takeaway broth or maybe Dubious Camorn Throne or Braised Rabbit if you'd rather use something a little cheaper. And then crown potions or just health potions would work well here. To get really sweaty you can always use Essence of Weapon Power. First off we'll go over our gear, and our 2 sets today are going to be Arms of Reliquin, or if you fancy yourself Veteran Trials, Perfected Arms of Reliquin. This medium set can be grabbed in the Cloud Rest trial, which is a really easy trial that you can just run a bunch of times on normal with a group in Craglorn, if you don't have it unlocked yet. This set gives us a buff to critical chance, minor slayer at all times, and causes our light and heavy attacks to apply stacks of harmful winds to our target for 5 seconds, which deal physical damage every second. And then our second set is going to be Blood Moon. This one comes in medium as well and can be looted in the March of Sacrifices DLC dungeon. Going along with the werewolf theme, this set gives us a little damage buff, some more critical chance, and when we deal damage with melee light attacks, we gain a stack of blood scent for 8 seconds. At 5 stacks we become frenzied for 5 seconds and increase our melee light attack damage and also our speed by 50%. This has a 15-second cooldown. Since both of these sets come in medium, you can set up your gear in whatever way is easiest for you or whatever pieces you actually have unlocked on your account. For example, I'll be wearing Reliquin on my belt, my shoes, my legs, and 2 daggers, while I'm wearing Blood Moon on my shoulders, chest, gloves, necklace, and a ring. All of these armor pieces should be in divines with max stamina glyphs, and you'll want to make 1 dagger charged and 1 Nirnhorned, with a poison glyph on one and a flame glyph on the other. For a monster piece, we're going to be using a medium Slimecraw helmet, and for our mythic, we are going to be using Belharza's band. All of these jewelry pieces can be made in Bloodthirsty style with glyphs of increased physical harm. So Belharza's band is a neat little mythic item that increases the damage of our light attacks. So when we deal damage with consecutive melee light attacks, we gain a stack of Belharza's temper for 10 seconds, up to 5 stacks. Once we have 5 stacks, it gets consumed, and we deal physical damage to enemies in a line and stun them for 3 seconds with a spooky red ghost minotaur dude. This can happen once every 10 seconds. This mythic can be a major pain in the ass to unlock, as one of the leads requires you to open treasure chests in the Falkreath Hold DLC dungeon, which can be tricky in a group as that dungeon is notorious for being speedran. But if you have a solo character that can get through it alone, you'll likely have better luck that way. A quick rundown of some alternative gear would first start with the most obvious, and that is the Chad-like Oakensoul ring. I find that this build performs well with Oakensoul too, but I couldn't say no to all of that extra damage from Belharza, and it's always fun to try something new and funky. Oakensoul would give you a ton of passive buffs, making you a bit less squishy all around, so it's always a great option. If you prefer a setup that doesn't use any mythics, you could swap over to using 2 pieces of Molag Kenna from the White Gold Tower dungeon. This one gives some extra damage, and when you consecutively light attack 2 times, you trigger Overkill for 6 seconds, which gives you another buff to your damage, though it increases the cost of your abilities. Not that big of a deal if we're mainly spamming light attacks though. Kinra's Wrath from the Black Drake Villa DLC dungeon is always a good replacement for Reliquin, as it grants us some damage, critical chance, and when we deal damage with light or heavy attacks, we get stacks of Burning Heart for 5 seconds, up to 5 stacks. When you max that out, you generate an Aura of Wrath, granting yourself Major Berserk and granting your allies Minor Berserk. Order's Wrath is a set that tends to work in most situations, so I would recommend that here as well. This set can be crafted in the High Isle zone and grants the user a bunch of extra critical chance and a little bit of damage too. Zogvin's Warband is another go-to set for critical chance, and this one can be looted in the Frostvault DLC dungeon if you have access. It grants a bunch of critical chance, offensive penetration, and when you deal critical damage you gain stacks of precision, which increase your critical chance even more, also granting you minor force. One last set to recommend would be Griffin's Ferocity, which can be looted from the Somerset zone. This one also grants the wearer some critical chance, extra damage, and after dealing direct damage you gain Minor Force and Minor Expedition. Sliding over to our champion abilities, we'll slot whatever we want in green. I like Mount Speed as usual, so I like to use War Mount, Gifted Rider, Steed's Blessing, and Rationer for a little food buff. Over in the blue section, we'll be slotting Deadly Aim, Fighting Finesse, Master at Arms, and Weapons Expert. And you may also find that Reaving Blows helps you out with survivability and solo content a little bit better than Fighting Finesse. Over in the red section, we'll be slotting Boundless Vitality, Celerity, Fortified, and Bloody Renewal. Some other useful slottables if you don't like one of these would be Pain's Refuge or maybe Rejuvenation. Over in our passive skills, we'll want anything from our class skill lines that you want for your non-werewolf setup. Everything from dual wield, everything from medium armor. Go ahead and max out werewolf as you can, and then pick up your racials, anything from the guilds and alliance war that you like to use, and anything from craft. So for my non-werewolf skill bar, I'm just using the same setup that I used in my somewhat recent Stam DK build video. So I have Noxious Breath for Breach, Burning Embers for a self-heal and dot, Rapid Strikes for a spammable to use alongside Light Attack Weaving, Eruption for a debuff and dot, and Flames of Oblivion for another dot, and then the Berserker Ultimate. When we morph into werewolf form, your skill bar can include Deafening Roar, Brutal Pounce, Howl of Agony, Claws of Life, and Hircine's Fortitude. While we're in werewolf form, the main idea is to pounce onto an enemy, cast the pounce skill a second time for Brutal Carnage, cast Roar for debuffs, apply Claws of Life if you're in need of some self-heals over time, and then just spam light attacks. During the cooldown of our Frenzy from Blood Moon, where our light attack speed gets buffed, you can also alternate using some Roars for extra damage, but if you're super lazy you can just spam the left mouse button all day long, being sure that you use Pounce twice to apply debuffs and Claws of Life for that health sustain. Use Hircine's Fortitude when you need a bigger heal, being sure to also use potions, as the magicka cost of your self-heal is quite high. Alright, that's pretty much it for this one. Very simple and straightforward gameplay from this type of a setup. Since we aren't actually locked into one bar as if we were using Oakensoul, you can also obviously slot more skills on your back bar, so don't be afraid to do that to make yourself more survivable when you're trying to gain back ultimate to get back into werewolf form. Here's some footage of a random dungeon I ran earlier just to give you an idea of what the build looks like in action, and as you can see you should usually be able to maintain werewolf form for the entire dungeon, as long as there isn't a really long dialogue or puzzle or whatever. Alright, thanks for watching as always, and if you enjoyed, don't forget to like the video and sub to the channel. See you next time.